Call the meeting to order. This is the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority regular board meeting of October 28th, 2022. And so nice to welcome and see many of you in person. Mark asked me coming in, even though I've been in this room, sitting in these chairs out there, that's my first board member, our first meeting as a board chair. And for us, many of us meeting as a group. So, and of course we have others participating online. So nice to see all of you. I do want to announce that the board did meet in executive session. No votes were taken. Only the legal matters and other personnel matters and some updates were discussed. So Deb, maybe the roll call?
Sure. Ms. McCormick Barron. Here. Ms. Cristello.
Here.
She is here. Mr. Domock.
Here.
Ms. Lieber.
Here.
Dr. Morel.
Here.
Thank you. Chair Schuley.
Here.
Ms. Strasburger.
Here.
Mr. Thomas.
Here.
All board members are present.
Very good. Do we have any speakers this morning?
We have no registered public comment today.
Okay. Next order is the approval of the minutes from August 26, 2022. There was no September board meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor of the board, the approval of the minutes of August 26, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? All right, the minutes are approved. We'll move to reports and updates. The Finance Department. Ed.
Morning, members of the board. Back on the stand. Nice to see everybody in
Yes.
person here. Included in your board packet is the finance report through September 30th, 2022. Within the report, you will see year-to-date receipts are up 5.5% or approximately $7.4 million. This revenue growth is a continuation of what PWSA has experienced so far through this year, and it is led by water collections, which is up 3.7% or $2.9 million. Direct operating expenses are up 6.3% or approximately $5.4 million. The majority of this increase is driven by water operations, water treatment plant, laboratory, environmental compliance, and finance departments. This increase was planned per the approved 2022 budget and reflects PWSA's focus to increase staffing and operations throughout the organization. The finance department is forecasting an $8.5 million cash basis year-end 2022 surplus as compared to the $5.2 million surplus within the 2022 budget. I'm excited to announce that PWSA received a credit rating upgrade from S&P Global earlier this month. The rating moved from A to A+ and was a result of improved financial performance, governance, and management. And I will note this is the first upgrade PWSA has received in over 10 years. In addition to this upgrade, I'm also happy to announce that PWSA successfully completed a $45 million new money bond issuance earlier this week. Investor interest was high despite a tough municipal bond market resulting from increased interest rates. The 2023 through 2027 capital improvement plan will be presented to the board today for approval. The plan includes $1.8 billion in infrastructure improvements over the next 5 years. These improvements are a continuation of critical initiatives such as the water reliability plan and lead service line replacements, to name a few. This plan was reviewed by the PWSA Board of Directors during a series of meetings leading up to this request for approval. I would like to thank the board for their time in reviewing the plan, as well as all the PWSA subject matter experts who helped create the plan. It is at this time that I will turn it back over to the board and answer any questions that they may have. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Great report. Does anybody have any comments or questions for Mr. Barca?
Oh, just that upgrade's huge. Congratulations.
No, thank you.
Congratulations on both fronts.
There's a lot of companies out there that aren't A+.
Perfect. Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
Engineering Department, Mr. King. Good to see all these faces here.
Good morning, members of our board, Chair Schuley. I'll start with an update on our drinking water programs, and I will begin with discussing our lead service line replacements and small diameter water main replacement. Since September, contractors have completed an additional 343 lead service line replacements, bringing our total up to 667 public and 661 private lead service lines replaced across all of our service area. And across all our projects, which includes our small diameter water main replacement project, our lead service line replacement, and the BRT contracts. The grand total number of lead service line replacements that we've completed since July 1st, 2016, up through October 21st, our most recent report, is 9,660. We're edging in towards that 10,000 mark for public lead service line replacements, and 6,542 private side lead service line replacements. The current small diameter water main replacement program is currently about 75% for the current contract complete, with a replacement of over 25,000 linear feet, which is approximately 4.75 miles throughout the city of Pittsburgh. Next, I'll discuss our water reliability plan progress. Plans are now in place, and we're acting upon them for the return of the infrastructure associated with phase 1, which that is the Highland Reservoir itself and Rising Main 3, to return those back to service. The remaining construction substantial completion milestones are on schedule for both Highland 2. I'm happy to announce Highland 2 reservoir liner and cover and the Rising Main 3 rehabilitation and replacement project. Highland 2 is substantially complete for all work associated with the liner and cover itself. That has been installed, tested, and verified. Our contractor is now doing some final punch list items, as well as cleaning up the remainder of the site for demobilization. And our electrical contractor is currently in the process of installing all the stormwater dewatering pumps that are on the cover to remove all the stormwater. So that is substantially all that remains for Highland 2. Highland 2 will then wait until the completion of the remaining elements for Rising Main 3, at which time we will concurrently disinfect both infrastructure. We'll start with adding the sodium hypochlorite disinfectant to Rising Main 3, pushing it up into the reservoir, and then beginning the process of disinfecting the Highland 2 reservoir as well. The only items left for Rising Main 3 at this time are the terminations at both the Brecken Pump Station valve vault, as well as the terminations up at the Highland number 2 reservoir gatehouses. And so that we're anticipating being complete. And that disinfection process will begin November 14th or sooner, hopefully, but we're looking at November 14th. That places us well before December 31st for getting both those infrastructures fully assessed and approved by the state for the issuance of our operating permits. So we are on track and on schedule. The award of Rising Main number 4 rehabilitation and replacement project is coming before the board today. That's one of the items we'll have. That project we're anticipating upon approval for award will be completed between December and January 2024. That's our current construction schedule for anyone wondering. And then construction of the Highland Reservoir rising and supply mains is currently underway. The initial stakeout for the infrastructure will start in field on Monday, and we'll begin laying out that infrastructure. And the rising main and supply main for the Highland Pump Station, that should be completed by December 2023. The contract documents for construction of the Highland Reservoir Pump Station itself are being finalized at this time, and it should be advertised for bid by December, mid-December of 2022. And so that's a large project that will be out on the street. And we are on progress with the finalization of the contract documents for the ABC projects, the Assam Wall and Brecken Pump Stations, as well as the Clearwell Bypass. We are continuing to meet with EPA and WIFIA teams and the State Historic Preservation Office, SHPO. to work towards achieving the outstanding SHPO programmatic agreement that is required before we can get our PADP construction permit. But we are making progress with that and anticipate that to be coming up. For reference, the ABC projects, we're looking at that end of 2026 as when those projects would be expected to be completed for operation. As far as our sewer program updates, the final contract documents for the 2023 small diameter sewer replacement addressing the Carrick neighborhood itself will be received by engineering today, and advertisement for bid will be coming out in December. The contractor that is working on our Fuchsia Way sewer and water main replacements has now proceeded into phase 2. So that project is moving along as well. With regards to stormwater and green infrastructure, construction is nearing completion on the Thomas and McPherson Green Infrastructure Project. The remaining work involves the tie-in of the infrastructure to the sewer on Fifth Avenue, as well as the resolution of a private sewer that has been identified that will be terminated as well. Construction has reached substantial completion by, we anticipate by November 11th for the Volunteers Field Drainage and Regrading Project, which is in Carrick. The progress right now is the planting of the landscaping and rain gardens, as well as installation of the fencing, and the restoration will be the last remaining element there. And construction of the Lawn and Ophelia stormwater project in South Oakland is approximately 90% complete, where the contractor is currently similarly completing all the landscaping requirements along with the installation of the fencing that's going around the parklet. And then finally, we are coordinating with our partners in Domi to complete all of the surface restoration that will be around that facility, because they will be undertaking that component of the work. So that concludes my report. Does the board have any questions?
A very impressive list of projects. On Highland 2 cover and liner, did we take video and movies of it as we were going along? We have, right?
We do. We have some impressive time-lapse photography that Public
Yeah.
Affairs
I'm
did
sure
acquire.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I'm sure that would be very impressive to see over time, since it was one of the largest cover projects in the United States this year. And congratulations to you and your team, Barry. Any comments, questions for Barry on his engineering report?
Just a little curiosity thing here. That sewer line of Fuchsia, was that unusually deep, or is that kind of typical what you run into?
Depending on where you are in the city and the proximity to the infrastructure, either for Alcosan or our pump stations, it can get that deep and deeper. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's surprising though.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it makes it a royal opportunity for some of the contractors when they're trying to do work on the service laterals. You can see the challenge that they can have to get down to that
Yeah,
infrastructure.
yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Barry, I know you were concerned about a state approval, SHPO, but you said everything's moving along on schedule and on time. So does that mean that process has sped up?
So I might have miscommunicated fully the scenario there.
Heard on schedule and on time.
That's okay. So we are moving forward with it. It is now starting to progress, but the timeframe by which that needs to be achieved is really dependent upon the state. It's not going to affect our ultimate PADP construction permit requirements whenever we receive that. And once we get a construction permit, that's when the time frame starts. So yes, it is delaying the start of these projects, but it's not actually impacting the authority from the perspective of risk to completing our projects on time.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Barry? Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.
Next report, Chief Environmental Compliance and Ethics Officer Report, Mr. Sederi.
Here I am in person.
Yeah.
So,
there.
good morning,
to see you.
everyone.
Yeah.
I don't have the teleprompter to hide behind here. So this morning, I just wanted to provide you a little bit of update and just information on some things that we do in the Environmental Compliance Group in relation to the Clean Water Act. So some of you may be aware that this month marks the 50th anniversary of the Clean Water Act itself. which was passed by Congress in October 18th, 1972. So a little while ago. Our mission here at PWSA, and it's up on the wall over here on the back side of the boardroom, is to support our regions by protecting the health and the environment through the delivery of safe and reliable water services with a commitment to future generations. And that aligns pretty closely with what the mission of the Clean Water Act is, which is to improve the quality, health, and safety of our nation's water bodies. So the Clean Water Act itself, kind of at a very high and basic level, makes it illegal essentially to discharge any pollutant to a waterway through a pipe or through an outfall, unless there's an appropriate permit is obtained for that and it's regulated. The authority itself operates under several of those permits. So that's what I wanted to make you aware of here today, that we have a few of these that are related to the Clean Water Act and that we're constantly monitoring. So one is our MS4, our Municipal Separate Storm Sewer Permit, which we're a co-permittee with the city on. And that, again, I've spoke to you that before on that, that manages our discharges from our separate storm sewers that flow directly to the river. Another one we have is our MPDS Industrial Wastewater Facilities Permit. It's interesting, it says industrial wastewater facilities, but essentially it's permits that are for stormwater discharges from industrial type sites. And actually we have one of those for our water treatment plant. So the storm sewers that are at our water treatment plant facility and a few of the others that discharge directly to the Allegheny River, we have a permit for that we operate under. We have our MPDS Combined Sewer Overflow Permit that regulates, of course, our wet weather discharges from our combined sewer system. We also have some industrial and groundwater permits that we have through Elkasan. Those in particular help regulate the discharge of industrial wastewaters from our operations. So we have one from our wastewater treatment plant where we discharge our clarifier residuals that goes to the Elkasan system and is regulated under an NPDS permit. And finally, we have a number of NPDS permits for some of the construction projects. So there's ones anytime where you disturb over an acre of land. There's a stormwater discharge associated with construction activities permit that we obtain for those construction projects to help, again, manage any discharges that might be moving into our waterways from those sites itself. Staff in all of our departments helps really with these and supports these activities through the entire process: planning, design, construction, the maintenance of our systems. So our field ops crews, outreach, public outreach and affairs also help make sure that folks understand and abide by our obligations under these Clean Water Act type permits. If you want any additional details, we'll get into those. Please just come and talk with me or ask a question here. I'd be happy to provide a little more information on those. And also look towards your newsletter here for October, where Public Affairs has highlighted the Clean Water Act and some of the things that we're doing across the organization to support that. That's my report. As always, I like to say, if you contractors, authority staff have questions on environmental compliance and ethics, my door's open for those questions. So thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks for the job you're doing and your staff as well. Any questions or comments for Mr. Sideri? All right. Thank you,
Yep.
Frank.
Thank you all.
All right. Well, Chief Executive Officer's report.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll take it away. I'll begin by saying pleasure to be here with some of our board members and our staff and in a room in this hybrid meeting, one of what I hope will be many going forward. As Alex mentioned, we did not meet in September, so there's been a ton of progress and Barry, Frank, and Ed have highlighted some of that. We've had a series of public events that I think have been really fantastic to see people in person, but we've also generated some attention from the public and our customers and media. One being the M29 boat tour, of which we had a few board members join us, where we saw firsthand the work that was recently completed for the outfall structure on the Monongahela River near the Hazelwood Green site. This was a nearly $5 million collaborative project with Alcosan. It's going to be one of many that we're embarking upon, either with Alcosan or independently, to get to that Clean Water Act compliance that Frank was alluding to. So that was an excellent event. I also participated as a panelist, and PWSA staff had a table to engage people at the Clean Water Festival that took place earlier this month in Millville along the Allegheny River. There was an excellent turnout, multi-generational, which I think was fantastic and important for PWSA to be at the table. The panel that I was on was with the regional administrator of DEP, as well as leadership at Alcosan, talking about the future of the Clean Water Act. And PWSA is really committed to being a leader when we think about the health of our waterways and rivers over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's going to take us a long time to get to that true compliance, but we recognize its importance and value. We also hosted the leadership staff from Penvest at our water treatment plant earlier this month. It was an excellent opportunity to get to know them, for us to educate them on who PWSA is, our projects, our water reliability plan. And then we actually had a water treatment plant tour with those folks. The executive director of Penvest expressed that they were very excited. They saw us as a model for the state, potentially the country, of how we're tapping some of the funding that we have coming through them. My hat's off to Ed and his team for our ability to create that relationship with them. It's one we look to build. It's one that we want to press for grants and not loans. And we think that there's going to be a lot more flowing with infrastructure money coming through Penvest in the next 4 or 5 years or so. So that was an excellent opportunity. Shortly after we had that tour, we were able to announce that Penvest had awarded another large loan for 3 separate projects. $77 million for a small diameter water main replacement project, of which $6 million is a cash loan, and that's going to be dedicated to the lead service line replacement component of that work. Then we have $46 million for our catch basin replacement throughout the city. It's going to get us 3,600 new catch basins. Those are the storm drains on the street that help us manage stormwater, whether it's in a combined sewer system or that MS4 area that Frank alluded to in his remarks. And then a new element, we got a low interest loan for our security upgrades throughout our facilities through Penvest, a $10 million low interest loan for that work. We've discussed our need to harden our facilities, to improve the technology, to make sure we're monitoring these critical infrastructure sites. All in, if we went out to the markets, and these numbers may need to be refreshed, it actually might be a savings that's even more. These low interest loans are saving ratepayers over time over $100 million. I believe we've estimated $105 million. So while they are not grants, the low interest loans generate a tremendous savings over time. Again, my hat's off to our team for being able to have that relationship with Penvest to get that funding in place. I also want to recognize that with some sad news, Mark Anthony Thomas is actually with us for his final board meeting as a board member of PWSA. Mark has been on the board for about 2 years. He's been an excellent contribution to this body, not just at the board, but with our supplier diversity committee, of which he has been a member. It's certainly a loss for Pittsburgh, but a gain for Baltimore, where he is headed. So I want to, on behalf of all the PWSA staff, thank Mark for his time, attention, and leadership, and we hope to stay in touch, and we can steal whatever great ideas you're taking to Baltimore, but thank Mark for his service. So I will go ahead and transition to this month is one of our PGH2O Excellence Awards months. And I'm really excited to I guess to nominate and award and recognize Sarah Collins, who is is actually the senior talent acquisition specialist within the Human Resources Department. Sarah joined PWSA in May of 2021. It's the first time PWSA had a position dedicated to recruitment and talent acquisition. We knew that we had a lot of vacancies we needed to fill. It was during COVID in a competitive labor environment. And one of her first priorities was really just modernizing how we recruit staff. Believe it or not, people could fax their resume or mail their resume. We are now tracking that all in an e-module. And it's not only helpful for applicants, it's also helpful for us to know the demographics of the applicants that we're getting. And through Sarah's leadership in that effort, we've been able to see since July of 2021, when we started that e-module, over 190% increase in overall applicants to open positions at PWSA, a 375% increase in diverse candidates applying to our positions, and a 763% increase in female applicants for open positions here at PWSA. So the fact that we can measure that is a feat. We're going to continue to get better. And Sarah has been an excellent addition to that. We've had a series of in-person town halls. I got to chat with Sarah briefly, and just to share a little bit, since she's not here in the room, she likes to hike outdoors with her husband. So I've gotten to know her a little bit better on a personal level here in these last few weeks. So my hat's off to you, Sarah. Congratulations on your PGH2O Excellence Award. When I see you in person, I look forward to congratulating you in person. So with that, cheerfully, that ends my remarks. Happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
Congratulations to Sarah. It's too bad we couldn't see her in person, but hopefully she's paying attention and realizing the acknowledgement that she's getting here. Of course, all of the staff. I mean, now that we've had an opportunity now to get together a little bit here in person setting, it really has been very, very impressive between what's been done by the finance department at all of the Penvest grants and loans, celebration of the Clean Water Act, as Frank said, water reliability plan, getting our rating upgraded, low interest loans. I mean, there's the hits just keep on coming. So congratulations to the staff and team at PWSA. Say on behalf of the board, we're proud to be part of this organization and proud of all of you and the work that you're doing. And hopefully we'll get a little bit more acknowledgement within the community to recognize the projects and the work that we're doing. So thank you, Will.
Alex, you and I are now sitting beside each other, so we must be like just communicating metaphysically.
Right, yeah.
Because I was sitting here thinking the same thing, you know, at Adagio Health, our goal is always the patient and the client. And I always tell the staff that the reason we can provide them such good care is because a lot of people do a lot of things right. And, you know, we have a unique perspective here because we get to see the things that a lot of people on the back end and in support positions are doing right. So I just commend you. And I agree with Alex. I think the public affairs team does a great job. We just need to keep telling our story because this is such a great story and it impacts directly on the lives of the people we serve. So yeah, I commend you too. And I'm glad to be a part of this organization.
I had a boss at one time who was also a mentor who had a very successful career. And I asked him what was the secret to his success. And he said, lots of people wanted me to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And a very simple message, but if we all work together, and certainly PWSA staff and the executive team have shown that they are have each other's back and have worked very, very well together. No one accomplishes this by themselves. Certainly the board has played a key role in all of this. And again, kudos to everybody for the work that's being done. All right, well, let's move to the resolutions here. And Mr. Barca, we'll start with you and resolution number 121.
Resolution 121, approve and adopt the 2023 through 2027 capital improvement plan.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Well, we certainly had a view. We had several presentations of the capital program, Ed, and we've walked, the board members through this. It's quite impressive in terms of the breadth and the scope of all of the work that's being done. Again, another feather in our cap here of spending the ratepayers' money in a way that is getting the most for their money. And so we have another ambitious program over the next 3, 4, 5 years. I think it's probably historic in many capacities in terms of the work that's being done. And I fully endorse this plan and look forward to the execution of this plan.
I just want to add to that it's really a good thing for a board member to be able to look forward and see where the organization is going, because too many times organizations get caught in kind of the present moment. So thank you for laying out a thoughtful and responsible plan.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Go
One
ahead.
quick comment. I mean, when I look at $1 billion of capital projects in the next 5 years, it's just, far surpasses the work that agency or the authority has been able to do in past years. And it's incredibly impressive, along with the diversity of sources of income to be able to fund those projects, the funding for those projects. If people, if customers are thinking it's all on the backs of ratepayers, it's not. It's, that's a small portion of where the funding is coming from for these projects and for the increase in work. Really impressive, and I'm happy to support it today.
Thank you.
Good point, Eric. Any other comments? All right, all those in favor of resolution number 121, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution 121 is approved. Resolution 122, Ed.
Resolution 122, approving the financial assistance application to be submitted to the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Investment Authority for the 2022 Neighborhood Lead Service Line Replacement Program in an amount of $13,354,750.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Any discussion? Talked quite a bit about Penn Best. That's very, very good. All those in favor of resolution 122, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution 122 is approved. Resolution 123, Mr. BJ McFadden. Good to see you in person as well,
Good to
BJ.
see everyone. Good morning. Resolution 123, approving a change order for the 2020 water treatment chemicals option 1 for the liquid ferric chloride contract. This is out of the operating budget for $803,616.
Very good. May I have a motion?
Motion for
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Mark Thomas.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I got a question. I was talking to people that treat water out of Hudson, upstate New York, and they just took a big powder on phosphate related probably to the conflict in the Ukraine. So I'm curious what our sort of posture is on some other key materials. And while maybe the total ortho budget may not be enormous, it's kind of key to the wet issue. So where are we with sort of contracts on that? And was that just a spike in their, they were unlucky with their timing when they ran out and had to renew, or, in other words, are we keeping an eye on that?
Well, currently, we're not experiencing any issues. A little while back, when there was the potential for a strike with the railroad, we had reached out to everyone to reaffirm that everything's still good, the supply chains and everything. We were assured that we were still, good to get our chemicals and things of that nature. So nothing that I see right now. Maybe it was timing with them bidding out. I do probably see next time we would go, I would expect increases.
Okay. So another reason I asked that, this particular utility seems to be in a state of disarray, and they're looking to Pittsburgh for like examples. So I was actually checking what they said.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
I will add that we did see an increase through this change order of $220 per ton compared to when we bid it in 2020. So it's fair to say prices are, as we've seen with everything else, are going up, but we have been able to access the supply.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor of resolution 123, please indicate whether you're in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 123 is approved. Resolution 124, BJ.
Resolution number 124, approving the award of option year 2 of multiple capital contracts for the 2022 small meter replacement project to Neptune Technology Group and LB Water Incorporated. This is cumulative capital budget of $1,801,800. Project number CIP 2022-2026, WDS-2P.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 124, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution 124 is approved. Resolution number 125, BJ.
Resolution number 125. Approval to enter into an easement agreement for 10 Tank Street with the city of Pittsburgh and Peoples Natural Gas.
Thank you. Is there a motion? May I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion to approve, Audrey Morel.
Audrey, is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Peg. Any discussion?
I would love to live on Tank Street.
10 Tank Street, yeah. Maybe BJ, you can just give us a little bit of background on why this easement is necessary.
So there's a property that, if you had some map visuals I could show you, but that basically is behind our property or PWSA property at our 10 Tank Street. This is our Spring Hill tanks. The only access to this over the years, they had created a roadway, a driveway that crosses two of our lots. It does not encompass on where our tanks are. They're at a portion of the lots that's already fenced in. It's in front of it. With that, this particular house they must have had an easement through another private property to get service from the gas company, and the gas line went bad. The only access to get gas now would be cross two of the lots. I've met out on site. We've placed this in an area that is along a property line that we would never really be able to build along anyway, so that they could get access back to this house to install this service line. It's not a main, it's just a service for one single house.
Okay, very good. Any other questions or comments on that? All those in favor of resolution number 125, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, 125 is approved. Number 126, Mr. King.
Just want to confirm 126 is the resolution for M29.
Rising
No,
Main 4.
it's for Rising Main 4.
Okay, forgive me, I somehow typed in the wrong number. So resolution number 126 is a request for the board's approval to award a capital contract for our construction of the 2019 large diameter water main improvements project for Rising Main number 4 to Structural Preservation Systems LLC in the amount of $8,401,503. For quick context, Rising Main 4 improvements is part of the water reliability plan. The project addresses portions of our 50-inch steel pipe constructed in 1939 and 48-inch cast iron and pre-stressed concrete pipe that was constructed in 1972 that runs in between Brecken Pump Station and the Highland 2 Reservoir, similar to our Rising Main 3 that we just are completing now. Scope of work involves rehabilitation of 2,520 linear feet of main through carbon fiber reinforced polymer lining, as well as 250 linear feet of open trench replacement of the pipe. These improvements were determined based on the results of internal condition assessments we conducted back in August of 2020. Staff recommends that the board approve the award of this capital contract to the apparent lowest responsible bidder, Structural Preservation Systems, in the amount of $8,401,503.
Very good. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question, Barry. You said that we're replacing pipes that were built in 1939 and 1972. What's the projected life of the new infrastructure?
So the renewed infrastructure will be approximately 50 years. That's what we certify. It can go longer, as we've seen with pipes, and especially with the fact that we won't have the corrosion issue with this lining. So a minimum of 50 years.
Thanks.
Any other questions, comments for Barry? I know this is a massive project, and obviously the cost of the project reflects the complexity and the size of this line, as you mentioned. So I'll be happy when this one is done.
Agreed.
All those in favor of resolution number 126, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution 126 is approved. The last resolution, Barry, is 127.
Resolution number 127 is a request for the board's approval of a change order for a capital contract for the construction of the M29 Outfall Improvements Project to Allison Park Contractors Incorporated in the amount of $396,955.58. As we discussed earlier, this improvement project was necessary to prevent a failure and to prolong the service life of our critical M29 outfall for the combined sewer overflow, which conveys flows from the Oakland neighborhood to the Monongahela River. This change order addresses the additional cost incurred due to unforeseen and differing conditions associated with the reconstruction of the existing end wall and the installation of the new flap gate, as well as design changes necessary to address an urgent culvert repair within the work area. Staff recommends that the board approve this award.
Very good. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
One second.
Thank you, Mike. Any discussion?
Having had the opportunity to be on the boat and see this, it's a very impressive project, and obviously a huge lift on a lot of people's parts. So congratulations. The picture in the paper.
It's the Christmas card, Peg, I think.
I was having another right here today.
Well, thanks to Mike and Peg who represented the board. Was there any
So I
other board
became
members that I
professor
missed
around
that went out?
No.
Mike and Peg, okay. Did you happen to point out the change order to Mike and Peg when you were out there on the boat?
I unfortunately, due to COVID fear, was not able to attend.
We were blissfully unaware.
Yes.
Very good. Any other questions or comments for Barry about this resolution? All those in favor of resolution 127, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution 127 is approved. That concludes the agenda. I want to put my thanks into Mark for his service on the board as well. It's been a pleasure getting to know him. When you have so much talent, you know, it's not surprising that there are a lot of folks out there that are vying for your attention. So Mark, good luck in your work. We wish you the best. Thank you for your time and service on PWSA.
Thank you.
All right, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, meeting is adjourned.